27 years ago, in this very month of July, a young captain captured a point 5140 and radioed a line that echoes in the country's mind even today. Everybody knows how that story ended, but very few know how it started. And today we are so fortunate to have with us Vishal Batra, Captain Vikram Batra's twin brother, who has witnessed his journey through and through. And he has penned down this beautiful book called Yeh Dil Maange More, which will leave you in tears and with goosebumps. Welcome, sir. Welcome
Thanks
to Fauji
so much,
Days.
Meg.
Sir, I'm going to start with a very with the question that first kind of came into my mind when I read this book. And I just, like I told you, read it in one sitting. It was so moving. 26 years is a long time to hold on to something. And when you happen to write this, did it give you some sort of closure or did it open something back up?
So I wouldn't say it gave me a closure. Closure happened, to me when I actually traveled to Kargil in 2009.
Yeah.
And since that was my maiden visit, and thanks to Barkha, that she was the lady who pushed me to get there, was the time when actually, closed on my real, story of Vikram, wherein I always felt that Vikram should have been here. But end of the day, I always wondered that there's something in the mind where that his story has to reach the larger audience.
Yes.
And the intention was that the entire country, right? Whosoever talks of Vikram as the Sher Shah or Captain Vikram Batra, right? Or the Lion of Kargil or the Sher Shah of Kargil, nobody had seen the other side of Vikram.
Yeah.
Everybody had known Vikram as a man in the uniform, a Captain Vikram Batra, right? But he was definitely, a much more before he became Sher Shah, before Kargil happened, right? Before he radioed that beautiful message, Yeh Dil Maange More, right? Which is also the title. And I thought that, what a better way to close than also to pen down our journey together, because it was a dream knitted long time back. That's a different thing that Vikram went on to become a Sher Shah.
Yes.
And I, got into the corporate sector. So to me, I would definitely agree with you. The final closure has happened now.
Lovely, lovely. So let's go back there then, how the book starts. And just like you mentioned, we know the man in the uniform, but we don't know the journey before that, which you have lived with him. So before all of this, it was Palampur, it was two brothers, and you had a lovely childhood. You had the same kind of upbringing, same family.
Yeah.
But what made him different? Even though you were twins, but what made him different?
See, when we had a childhood, the only different thing I would say, we were look-alike, both in terms of our character, in terms of our capabilities, in terms of our abilities. I believe one thing which I can really think of is that वो ज़्यादा जिंदा दिल था यार, right? वो, उसका life में एक फंडा बहुत clear था कि, live life king size.
Yeah.
So, as you correctly mentioned, we used to wear the same clothes, right? हमारी शॉर्ट्स भी सेम होती थी, हमारी टी शर्ट भी सेम होती थी, हमारे जूते भी सेम होते थे। और हमको लगता था कि मॉम डैड को बोलते थे क्या सेम कपड़े लेके देते रहते हो, कि ट्विंस थे, राइट? मामा का शौक था कि दोनों एक जैसे लगने चाहिए। बट व्हेन इट if I would say that Vikram was more extrovert. I was more studious in my studies. So was Vikram, but I fared always better in my studies. Yeah. And Vikram was a go-getter, that ठीक है study तो करनी है, but साथ में I have to do something else also. Yeah. So that being extrovert, I think, and being ज़्यादा जिंदा दिल and believing in the principle that live life king size was the one differentiator, which was the biggest differentiator, for both of us as twins.
Lovely, lovely. And how much do you feel that your upbringing and the place that you grew up in, you talked about your maternal grandfather as well, how much of an impact that did that have on Captain Batra? And also, how much do you feel upbringing actually impacts all of our soldiers, the way they come from, the homes they come from, the kind of message that is there? How do you feel that impacts them?
So yes, you rightly mentioned, I think the first knack we had with the forces was our own maternal, grandfather, Nana ji. और मैंने कभी भी आज तक ये, कहीं भी आज तक बताया नहीं था. People always wonder that since we started from school, which was inside the army cantonment, तो हमारा upbringing वैसा हुआ है. But our Nana ji was in the army. He was the first touch we had. And उन दिनों में, and I'm talking 1980s, right? Which is almost 46 years back now, right? The Faujis used to wear khakis. We had never seen our Nanaji in the olive green. We had never seen him in the camouflage or a combat. It was only khaki, right? So the first visit to the army cantonment happened with him. And then we have one of our cousins, right? His name is Brigadier Sandeep Bunny Singh. Bhaiya is a serving brigadier. हमारे मासी के बेटे हैं. He was undergoing his training at the Indian Military Academy in Dehradun 1987. He's an ex-NDA. And it just happened that we were out for a summer vacations and, मासी ने ऐसे बोला कि चलो, let me take you to meet Bhaiya. And both of us, we were in class 7, I believe, right? Yeah. I'm talking what, 87, right? और हम जैसे ही यहाँ गए academy में, and the moment we looked at the beautiful Chetwood building, वो lawns, that young cadets, it's iconic. The young cadets marching, doing PT, the total complete crew cut, right? We were awe-inspired, right? And then, of course, then we ended up in the Kendriya Vidyalaya Palampur, which is in the heart of the army cantonment. It used to be a brigade headquarter. और कहाँ से वो एकदम जो आपने क्वेश्चन किया ना, कहाँ से एकदम वो दिमाग में बैठ गया, that we loved the quality and the way of the life of the Fauji was, right from their I would say discipline, ethics, integrity, right, respect, leadership. We used to meet so many young officers, and thanks to those friends जो either brigadier के बेटे थे या colonel के बेटे थे, I think that really gave us a lot of insight into the army life, or I would say the way of life. And कहीं जाके वो realize हुआ कि army is not a profession, army is a way of life. Whether it's army, navy, air force, all the defense forces, right? And that's what I believed is what I believe is what really changed our mind. Now think of a situation today that Vikram's bench buddy, और bench buddy बहुत बड़ी बात होती है क्योंकि स्कूल का जो बॉन्ड होता है वो डिफरेंट होता है, राइट? तो विक्रम का जो एक फ्रेंड था बेंच बडी, उसका नाम था यादविंदर सिंह मनकोटिया, सन ऑफ अ कर्नल. मेरा जो बेंच बडी होते थे, he was Arvind Sikimta, son of a brigadier, and he's a serving brigadier doing his NDC, right? तो वो पूरा जो environment मिला, and then we looked at the I would say liberty you had to pursue any passion, could be sports. हम बाहर सिविल लाइफ में होते थे, इतना कुछ स्पोर्ट्स का फैसिलिटी नहीं था. While हम नेशनल से टेबल टेनिस में एक क्लब होता था. You go to an army cantonment, you want to play whatever sport, lawn tennis, horse riding, squash, you name it, and you had those facilities. So somewhere, वो सारा कुछ देखते बस वहीं से वो, I think it took off a different tangent and nothing came to our minds, whether it was Vikram or me. That's a different thing that I couldn't make it. Yeah. But I don't think we ever had a second profession in the mind until we became graduates. और जो पता लग गया कि मेरा सिलेक्शन नहीं हुआ, विक्रम कहोगे, तो I didn't have a choice. Yes. And that's where it all happened. Yes. Right?
Yes. Lovely. I think you summed up beautifully by saying that it was a way of life.
It's a way of life.
That's what attracts you. Even for us civilians, I think that's what attracts us the most.
Yeah. You go to the environment, you look at the cleanliness of the cantonments. Spick and span.
It's different. Right? It's different.
वो कहते हैं ना कि आप एक नॉर्मल सिविल लाइफ से बाहर जाते हो और आपको लगता है जन्नत है, कैंटोनमेंट के अंदर है यार, राइट?
सही बात.
You give them a jungle and they'll make a jannat out of it. I'm sorry, but it's a reality. It's what we used to feel.
It is,
and that's the way it happened here.
It is true. Lovely. So then moving on to the fact that Captain Batra then went to IMA, and I'm sure you talked about, he used to come, visit, you had to spend time together. How did you see him change as a person, moving from the IMA then towards his postings? How did you see him change as a person? Because he was still very young, 23 years is nothing.
Yeah.
So how did you see him change?
So I'll tell you, while I think I've spoken about it earlier, but I would still speak that army, if you're a good sports person, right, I think it helps you to navigate the very tough module of the trainings what they have. And fortunately, both of us were very, very keen sports person, right? Be it athletics, be it table tennis, be it martial arts. We both were nationals in the judo, right? तो जब विक्रम अकेडमी में गया, उसका एक फेयर था सिर्फ, which was swimming.
Yeah.
Right? But Vikram was smart enough that he learnt it here only in Chandigarh Hotel Mount View, because वही एक होटल था जहाँ में एक स्विमिंग पूल हुआ करता था, right? और उसको लगा अब अकेडमी में जाना है, स्विमिंग करनी पड़ेगी. तो how it changed was one that his thought process changed, that he's becoming a man in the uniform and he cannot have a fear in the life, be it whatever. Today you're thinking only for swimming, but think of a situation, you're in the thick of an insurgency and you have the bullets spraying across all around you, right? So you also have to overcome those kind of fears. So it's very important to start overcoming the fears which are far smaller, and then it culminates into the bigger fears coming out of your life, right? I think that was one change what I saw. Two, he had become much wiser. I think they train you so hard, right? That, you become very straight, rather than, thinking here, thinking there and distractions. Your mind starts working in a very straight line, right? You become very focused. he became very focused. This is the second change what I saw. Third, of course, you always have that kiddish nature, in it doesn't make a difference because you had just crossed the teenage, right? So when Vikram did his commandos, और जब मैं इसको कमांडो के बाद मिला तो मैंने इसको पूछा यार हमारी फेवरेट मूवी हुआ करती थी प्रहार तो मैंने उसको पूछा दैट वाज माय लास्ट मीटिंग द लास्ट एम्ब्रेस आई वुड से रेदर व्हेन आई मेट हिम फॉर द लास्ट टाइम तो मैंने उसको पूछा यार कि व्हाट आर द बेस्ट थिंग ऑफ द कमांडो ये एग्जैक्टली एक प्रहार की तरह है तो उसने बोला दे मेक यू मैन आउट ऑफ अ बॉय तो ही बिकम अ मैन आई वुड से रेदर ही बिकम a matured individual rather I would say, right? Because he was a commissioned officer. He had become far more responsible because he was carrying 2 stars on the shoulder as a lieutenant. So he knew that he represents the country. He doesn't represent only Vikram as an individual or Lieutenant Vikram as an individual. He represents the Indian Army, right? So he's also become a part of the soil. He represents the country. That is the change I saw in him, right? And finally, I saw when he was posted in Sopore in Baramulla during those insurgency days, and Sopore used to be hotbed of terrorism, right? और डर होता था यार कभी आपका बेटा या भाई कमीशन हुआ है और आपको पता लगता है पहली पोस्टिंग आपकी बारामुल्ला कुपवाड़ा में आ गई है तो यू यूज्ड टू हैव दोस आई बी डिसऑनेस्ट अभी भी लगता है राइट बट उन दिनों में तो इट वाज अ हॉटबेड राइट so I believe that when Vikram used to undertake those operations and when I interacted with his fellow soldiers he led, right, he had become fearless. He had become very fearless. And I've heard it, brutally honest, I've heard this, that when Vikram used to lead an operations, people used to swear by his name.
Wow.
Right. So I think it became very fearless. Or when, he got commissioned, he became extra caring. Matlab, he had so much of a love for, for family, for me, for sisters, mom and dad, cousins, friends, that even when he was fighting the war in the Kargil, I got 4 letters from him. And कोई भी ऐसा लेटर नहीं है महक जहां पे उसने ये नहीं लिखा होगा गिव माय हेलो टू this person, दीदी, जीजू, योर फ्रेंड, डिम्पल, मोना, विशाल बत्रा, कजन, सीटू भैया, सनी भैया, निप्पी, अंकल, आंटी. आई यूज्ड टू वंडर यार ये लड़का 17,000 में फीट में लड़ाई कर रहा है and he's fighting there, he's giving them a tough time, but simultaneously he's also thinking of the people back home. So I think these were all the qualities which I saw as a change, and could be possibly I was also 24. I didn't realize then, but when I look back these last 27 years, when we lost him, and when I relate everything what he used to do as a character, you realize what an aura he had and what a character he had.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So this is what
and this actually rings because even in the book you mentioned that every time he comes, he used to meet every single person. So divide his time.
Yes, divide his time. We have a very lovely friend, Nippy. He used to be one of the closest person to him, Sando, right? And I think he was as close as I am, right? If somebody knows Vikram as good as me, is this guy, right?
Yeah.
Could be that I spent more years with Vikram, but कहते हैं ना कुछ friendships होती हैं, right? So he was also a Fauji. And that time used to get divided that, they used to take annual leave together. अच्छा, annual leave लिया अगर मैं शिमला में हूँ तो इतना टाइम शिमला में spend करेंगे. अच्छा, कुछ चंडीगढ़ में है तो चंडीगढ़ में spend करेंगे. Then I was posted in Delhi. So जब कमांडो के लिए जाना है तो 4 दिन पहले आके ठीक है, we'll spend time with Vishal. Then mom dad के पास जाना तो they'll spend time there. फिर डिम्पल से मिलना तो spend time with Dimple. So he used to allocate it so beautiful that the 21 days of the annual leave used to be a perfect plan.
Wow, that's lovely. And I think this sort of leads me to my next question that I have. And this was another part in the book that really moved me. So this is the time we talk about that Diwali where he had lost a brother in arms. And you say that, something changed in him again.
Yes.
He was different and there was a sense of, again, probably a sense of responsibility because it was beyond grief.
Yes.
And then when we further read about him capturing point 5140, then 4875, going there, this responsibility is there prominently throughout. The fact that he had to be there for his soldiers, his fellow soldiers.
Yes.
And he took that responsibility all to him that मैंने जिसको मैं बचा सकता हूँ मैं बचाऊंगा और जो मेरे साथ है मैं उनको कहीं जाने नहीं दूंगा, कुछ होने नहीं दूंगा उनके ऊपर. एंड शायद ही इसी से आता है कि वो क्योंकि जस्ट लाइक यू मेंशन फ्रेंड्स फैमिली से भी इतना अटैच थे, उनके लिए हर चीज कर सकते थे, यहाँ पे भी कर सकते थे. व्हाट यू हैव टू से अबाउट दिस क्वालिटी, द फैक्ट दैट इट्स रेजोनेटेड एंड स्टेड विद हिम थ्रू आउट, वेदर इन सर्विस और इन पर्सनल लाइफ, एंड व्हाट अबाउट आवर soldiers in general, because I feel this is a very key quality that kind of pushes our Indian soldiers above the rest.
if I'll relate to this point, and if I'm thinking aloud, right? See, one is that, since we knitted the dream together,
Yeah.
I couldn't make it, right? And I was the first one to witness him with a plus ka sign on his chest. So when you go for SSB, you get a chest number. His chest number was 4, right? And because that's an identity given to you during the service selection board interview, you can't be called by names, right? For the PICE. And once you clear your SSB, when you're put into the medical board, if you qualified your SSB, the chest number is taken away and you get a plus sign, right? So I was the first one to witness Vikram with a plus sign, with that, happiness all around. The two twin brothers in the same SSB center. One of them has been recommended. So we cried in tears over sheer happiness. And वो खुशी के आंसू थे, right? कि चलो अब dad mom बोलेंगे दो बेटे गए थे, one of them has made up, right? Sorry, one of them has made it. और next day मेरा result declare होना था, आप लगाओ, right? And I was washed out. My whole of the batch got washed out. 29 of us, not even a single guy. Next day we cried, and we cried in the pain. He had the same pain that why Kush ka selection nahi hua. Wow. And he knew that I was better in the study. And during that 4 days of the SSB, we were sharing with each other ki tune kya kiya, maine kya kiya. And he was telling me ki Kush, you are faring 10 times better than what I fared in my SSB. Right? Though that's a different story. When his merit came, he was ranked 32 Pan India, right? So I think that shows that attachment. You had a sibling, so he had the same attachment, because then you leave your family back home, you live with the soldiers, so your unit becomes your family. So I think that's one where I would, this is my answer to this. 2, during one of the operations, which he led in Sopor, and ये मेरे को एपिसोड बहुत अच्छे से याद है, because this was one episode उसने मुझसे खुद शेयर किया था अक्टूबर में. It was October 1998, right? And you correctly mentioned it was a Diwali holidays, and that was the time when when we actually felt that he's not in the stride, and Vikram was not one of those guys. उसको प्यार से कॉलेज में जानी बोलते होते थे उसके सारे फ्रेंड्स, because he was a very loving and जिंदा दिल था, मैंने जैसे बोला. तो मुझे लगा कि कुछ गड़बड़ है, कि मतलब ना, he is not typical of the Vikram's types. तो मैंने ऐसे ही उसको पूछ लिया कि यार, you're not sounding great this time. And विक्रम ने उससे पहले मेरे साथ जब वो किस टाइम पे 3rd डिग्री भी करते थे अगर कोई हार्डकोर टेररिस्ट के, तो ही यूज्ड टू शेयर दैट, राइट? कभी पूरे डिटेल नहीं देता था, और बताता था कि हम क्या करते हैं, राइट? ऑफ कोर्स. तो मैंने उसको पूछा है कुछ गड़बड़ है, तो तब उसने मुझे स्टोरी बताई यार, दैट ही अंडरटुक एन ऑपरेशन, और वन ऑफ द बुलेट sneaked through his ear and hit the soldier behind. And of course, that's a different story, that they avenged the killing of a soldier. By next morning, they killed up, I think, 2 or 3 of the terrorists. So I think that left a very solid impact on his mind. That being a platoon commander, how I could lose a soldier of mine, right? So I think that also changed a lot in him. And that's the reason he became like this. So when he would have actually fought the war, he would have thought, I cannot let any one of my soldiers go. And I remember his interview that, while he radioed that message, Yeh Dil Maange More, but it is so fresh in my eyes that when he was being interviewed by the journalist at that point of time, he said, what was the biggest success you had? He said, I went up with 6 men and I came back with 6 men. Yeah. I didn't lose a single guy. Yeah. So I think this is all what he would have, as a transformation he would have seen during the academy days, during the, the commando days, and during the operations he used to undertake during the support posting. So I think that's the reason he had.
This has truly given me goosebumps, I mean, just thinking about that kind of courage. Oh, yes. I think it takes a special man.
It's a special man, right? You have to be absolutely fearless. और मुझे भी लगता है, I'll be wrong in case I tell you that वो ऐसा शुरू से था. क्या होता है कि sometimes you display your character, right? कहते हैं ना, आपको जब टेस्टिंग टाइम्स आते हैं तो आपका ट्रू कलर और ट्रू कैरेक्टर दिखता है. But during our school life together, and we've studied, I think the only time in our life when we were not together was only when he was in the academy. We spent all those 24 years together, barring those 1.5 years of training was when he was in the academy. तो वो मुझे मालूम था कि बहुत लविंग है, बहुत fearless है, बहुत courageous है, बहुत extrovert है, right? But इतना courageous होगा, I think this was the transformation of all the trainings, and this is kudos to the Indian Army, the way they train their soldiers. You know, that's the reason they tell you, they don't make you just physically tough. They make you mentally tough. And then mental toughness is more important than that physical toughness, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So I think that's all a transformation, and thanks to the way the army trains their soldiers and officers.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think every person who I've interviewed till now says that जो Indian Army के officers हैं, they truly read from the front.
Absolutely.
कोई पीछे नहीं हटता.
कोई पीछे नहीं हटता. Look at the casualties. You know, we had 527 soldiers, and how many young officers?
You said the average age was 23, 24.
24, yes. So that speaks.
And that's a statistic I did not know, It really puts into perspective the kind of courage that was shown over there.
Absolutely. Be it Vikram, be it Vijayant, be it Anuj Nair, be it Manoj Pandey. Right, you name a soldier, right? Even the two living legends, be it Sanjay Kumar ji or Yogendra ji. Sanjay ji took 4 bullets, Yogendra ji took 11 bullets, I believe, if my number is right. You need a different courage. Marvelous.
So, you spoke earlier about 2009 when with Batra that you finally went up, scaled the Kargil peaks, and you stood on point Sando, I believe, you saw 4875.
Yes.
And I'm sure the gravity of that moment is something I cannot describe. It's only something that you can feel. Now, before that, you've read his accounts, you've spoken to people, you kind of knew what Captain Batra would have been, what the situation would have been like. But how was this different from all of that? What was just that feeling, if you can just try and describe in words, standing there?
I love this question. The first thing, when I reached there, and Sando Point is around close to 15,000 feet, and you can actually see the Tiger Hill, you can actually see the 514 on the right, and you can see the 4875 Batra top on the left, right? तो सबसे पहले तो मुझे लगा मैं अपने आप को कर्स कर रहा था कि मैं 10 साल गया क्यों नहीं, right? But I think since I didn't have a closure, right, and I didn't have the courage to go, मेरे को लगता था कि मैं जाके वहाँ क्या करूँगा, because it will only put me into a very different tangent. Because I'm a very emotional guy, right? And
I can understand.
And then when I went there, I actually felt that I'm talking to him. I actually felt him and his presence around me. Believe you me, or when I looked at those mighty treacherous peaks, or generally मैं एक ही word बोलता हूँ, the unforgiving mountains, right? And I actually felt it for everybody. I felt it for Vikram, I felt it for Anuj Nair, I felt it for Manoj Pandey, that these young soldiers, the young officers of 23, 24, they still command those peaks. It is just that physically they've gone away from us, but nobody can take them away from us. The way they led India to victory in those icy peaks, -20, right? When I climbed, it was -2, but I climbed without a weapon, without an ammunition, without a pittu on my, without a weight, right? And I was looking at those peaks and kya hai? And the only thing which was hitting my mind was, we all are made of those 5 elements, कहते हैं ना, Jal, Vayu, Agni, Prithvi, Akash. What is that 6th element each of the soldiers had? मैं सर ये सोचता रहा यार, कुछ नहीं सोचा मैंने कि क्या एलिमेंट होगा इनमें यार, कि मैं बैठा हूँ, बरखा के साथ बैठा हूँ, and me and Barkha are chatting. She's asking me the same question what you asking me now, कि विशाल, what is the emotion which is running through you? और मैं सिर्फ विजुअलाइज कर रहा हूँ यार कि ये गए कैसे होंगे, और गए भी होंगे तो एनिमी ऊपर बैठी हुई है, और इनको पता होगा कि they are not going to be back. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि इनको नहीं पता होगा, क्योंकि when you look at those peaks now, you know it for sure, Mahek, that you are going to be like a sitting duck, nothing else. पर क्या इनमें वो 6th element था, मुझे नहीं मालूम, वो करेज थी, बहादुरी थी, जज्बा था. I have no word for that 6th element. Is what I kept on thinking. 2, I actually felt that I'm going to meet Vikram tonight in my dreams, and there was a beautiful ravine of the water. It was a sub part of the Dras River, and and Barkha just told me, Vishal, why don't you pen down your thoughts to Vikram? And this ravine was exactly, so if you point out 80-degree up angle, तो ऐसे लग रहा था कि आपको ना ravine से पूरा 4875 दिख रहा है, बत्रा टॉप दिख रहा है सामने. तो मैंने कहा, Barkha, do you want me to do it? कहती, yes, you should do it. And Mac, you believe me, I went down to the ravine, थोड़ा नीचे था सड़क से, वो 20 मीटर नीचे होगा. मैं नीचे गया, and I could actually see crystal clear Batra top, and I wrote down a letter to Vikram. I don't even know what did I write. I don't remember it. It is 18 years now, right? But I'm sure I would have written that, love, forgive me that I couldn't visit you, right?
Yeah.
And, I can actually feel you today. I can see the bravery you displayed. And I just, flitted through the letter in the air. बरका ने मुझे बोला विशाल ये लेटर दे दे, just believe that it will reach him. And you won't believe it, मैंने उसका वो थोड़ा सा होता ना अपने जहाज सा बनाया उसका, और उसको मैंने कहा विक्रम, I got this is for you. And it was a good windy breeze. It just flew. I don't even remember which side of the mountain it would have gone. But somehow I believe that my last letter, post witnessing what he's done for the country, would have reached him.
That's brought tears to my eyes. I think this is something else. I don't think we can even envision or even begin to imagine.
Oh yes.
What one is, of course, I understand the courage of the soldiers and the bravery that they display, but also what it means to the families that they leave behind.
Oh yes.
Their life also changes. It's a 180. It's a
absolutely 180. Right. It's a complete 180, right? I wish I could really say that कहते हैं ना, time is a great healer. It is not. It is not. It's only that I think you become more mature. You learn, the veracity of the time, right? But the pain, it doesn't go. That void doesn't go, right? I might have, spoken about it, so much in the last 27 years. But I know the kind of the tears I get, when I'm in isolation. You can't always cry or shed tears in the public, right?
Yeah.
But मैं आज बोलेगा मुझे कोई बोलूँगा, मैं बोलूँगा मेरा भाई मुझे वापस दे दो यार, तुम सब कुछ ले लो मेरे से, right? It's not going to happen, right? So it's time is only a healer, right? And it is a complete 180. And merely it was very, very difficult. Reason is, being a twin sibling, identical twin, younger just by 14 minutes, having spent those lovely 24 years together, 23 years together, because 1.5 year training का मैं छोड़ रहा हूँ उसका, right? Every dream got shattered like zuck, right? But then time teaches you only that how you change yourself, so that it doesn't hurt you beyond a level.
Yeah.
Right. That's it.
And I think, sir, I think you do your duty better by doing this, by writing these kind of stories, because this is the only way we can really celebrate their memory, keep them alive in whatever way we can.
I in fact relate it, Meg. If I relate, whatever is happening, it's not a question of I'm taking the credit of carrying forward his legacy. पर मुझे लगता है क्योंकि ये एक सपना था जो हम दोनों ने साथ में संजोया था, और अगर आज मेरा सिलेक्शन नहीं हुआ डिस्पाइट माय मल्टीपल अटेम्प्ट्स, God wanted it this way, right? Number one, right? Number two, I believe Vikram wanted it this way, right? और मुझे आज की डेट में ये लगता है, and I'm again very, very honest in admitting that whether we made a movie on him or, Dad had also written a book long time back on him, Paramveer Vikram करके Dad ने book लिखा था, but that was emotions of a father, right? And today when we're writing Yeh Dil Maange More, which I'm writing about journey of both the brothers, right? I don't think it would have been possible had it been that in case he was not driving me right from there. And why do I say this? Because उसका जो last letter है, जो मुझे उसने लिखा था, and I was struggling in my career, right? और उसने वो letter लिखा था मुझे 5th of July को, which was exactly 2 days before we lost him, right? अब ये देखो उसकी क्या feeling रही होगी, क्योंकि मेरी last meeting में I was struggling in my career, right? और उस वक्त मैं एक इंटरव्यू दे रहा था बैंक ऑफ पंजाब का, और मेरा भी रिजल्ट नहीं आया था जब मैं इसको लास्ट मुलाकात हुई थी, और उसने लेटर में मुझे पूछा हुआ है कि व्हाट हैपेंड टू योर बैंक ऑफ पंजाब इंटरव्यू, और लास्ट में वो लिखता है बिकॉज ही हैड सीन मी दैट आई वाज स्ट्रगलिंग, ही न्यू दैट आई वाज बेटर इन स्टडीज, राइट? तो उसने मुझे बड़ी प्यारी सी लाइन लिखी थी उस लेटर में कि लाइफ इज अ ब्यूटीफुल थिंग, अरे यार डोंट टेक टेंशंस, जस्ट कीप ऑन डूइंग योर बिट, गॉड इज लुकिंग एट एवरीवन and he would surely reward you one day. You have all the potential to do very well in life. Right, now think of कि वो लड़का जो मेरा खुद ट्विन सिबलिंग है, 24 साल में इतना मैच्योर हो गया वो कि वो वहाँ अपने सोल्जर्स का भी टेक केयर कर रहा है. He knows that he has to protect the sovereignty and integrity of the country. He has to push the enemy behind. He's asking about the welfare of everybody. He knows that I'm struggling in my career. He's still giving me a pep talk in that letter, right? मुझे लगता है ये सब इसी की करामात है ये, कि इसने मुझे लगता है कि वो somewhere he only personifies the fact that तू अकेला नहीं है, मैं तेरे साथ हूँ, तू आगे चल और मैं तेरे पीछे खड़ा हूँ. And that's the reason I think this all 27 years, you know, whether it's a movie, carrying forward his legacy, going and taking sessions about him, talking about him, writing this book, is all being driven by the Almighty and by the man behind.
My God. I think this is one of, I don't think I've cried in a podcast before, but this is...
My apologies for that.
No. This is how I felt when I read the book as well. I'm not going to lie to you. I told you I would read it in one sitting, and the reason is that you feel like you need to know.
Yeah.
And when you look... I was way too young when Kargil happened. I only know of it today. And now that I'm glad authors are coming forward, sharing stories, talking about it. But when you read it, if it moves me so much just by reading about it, I can only imagine what it is to actually be there in that moment, you know. And I don't think that can be possibly
explained. And you're so right, Mag. Think of I went in 2009 for the first time. And after that, I took a resolve that I'll travel every alternate year. And I've been traveling. I've not missed even one single visit. And in fact, if I have to travel only alternate year, I should have traveled only 10 times. I believe that I had traveled Dras War Memorial at least for 25 times in the last 27 years.
Wow.
One was my resolve that only alternate year. But there are years when I've traveled 3 or 4 times in a year. To do, whether I was visiting Batra Top, whether I was climbing 5140, whether I was running a marathon, you know, talking about and making the people aware about what the Indian Army does for us. Right. But I realized that if there could be a shrine, that's the shrine.
Yeah.
That's the shrine. Right.
Beautiful, sir. So, sir, you mentioned Sher Shah came out. That was kind of one way to take his legacy forward. There have been numerous people writing about him, talking about his courage. What was that moment that you felt that now it's my time to definitely write and put this together?
So I'll tell you. So I used to meet a lot of, officers. And I would have met countless number of officers in the uniform, young captains, majors, lieutenants. And incidentally, my professional, responsibility was that I, manage the defense vertical, for my institution. वो जब भी मुझे देखते थे वो बोलते थे एक तो Batra's brother, right? While I have my own, I'm representing my bank. But then, of course, being a lookalike, right? So मुझे एक चीज हमेशा बोलते थे, and they're countless, कि विशाल sir, अगर आप ये uniform देख रहे हो ना, this uniform is the gift of your brother. We joined forces, and I'm genuinely telling you honestly, पता नहीं कितने लोग मुझे ऐसे मिले होंगे. 2, I would have met not even lakhs, I would have met millions by now, be it at the airports or the railway stations. They'll immediately recognize me, they'll read my tattoo, Yeh Dil Maange More. Oh, Sher Shah's brother, Sher Shah's. And this has happened with me in London, it has happened with me in Canada, it has happened with me in Dubai, it has happened with me in Singapore. The all Indians who settled there, hey, are you Sher Shah's brother? Are you Vishal Batra, right? So everybody, a lot of these people used to ask me, yaar, humko Vikram ke baare mein aur batao. Right. So when we made the movie captured his heroic deeds, what he displayed, his character in Kargil and Dras, right? And since I had met so many people who wanted to know Vikram as an individual, and that's where we thought that now since the movie part is done, and the movie part is done more to talk about his bravery, right? Yeah. And the intention of the movie was not just to talk about the bravery of Vikram, it was also to talk about the bravery of every Indian soldier who fought Kargil War, right? His character also displays the officers, the character what Anuj Nayyar would have displayed or Manoj Pandey would have displayed, right? So that was one part. But then since, all these, the meetings I used to have, these small acknowledgements, when I travel by the airlines, I've seen so many times, be it Vistara, now of course Air India, Indigo, the air hostesses used to recognize me, they used to give me love letters. So we're so proud to fly with you, right? Wow. I think nothing less than 1,000 times it has happened with me, right? तो everybody wanted, अच्छा विक्रम कैसे थे, अच्छा वो बचपन में कैसे थे. तो मुझे कहीं ना कहीं लगा, time has come now that we should talk, about the child in Vikram, the man behind the uniform, the brother behind the uniform, and the son behind the uniform.
And I love how you captured all the mischiefs, everything. I won't divulge into all of those, but it's been so much fun reading about it.
Thank you so much. And it just happened, yeah. Then I thought, Vishal, no better time, no appropriate time, right? And let me do it. And I think sometimes, again being straight, I think it's also a destiny. Now, देखो जब मैं 10 साल जा नहीं पाया, 2009 में गया. उसके बाद रिजॉल्व ले लिया कि हर ऑल्टरनेट जाऊंगा, राइट. 20वें साल पे तो ऑफकोर्स इन बिटवीन में जाता रहा. We paid a tribute to him at Batra Top 4 and 5. I did that expedition exactly 20 साल. उसके बाद मैंने रिजॉल्व लिया कि जब 25 साल का 25 साल हो जाएंगे और हम दोनों 50 साल के हो जाएंगे. On 50th birthday, I wanted to gift him a birthday gift by climbing 5140. तो मैंने 2024 में जब इसको 25 साल हुए, 2024 में 50 साल का हुआ था. Now I'm 52, right? I paid my birthday gift to him, and I told him in my own mind, in my conscious and subconscious mind, कि Vikram Batra, 25th birthday, I'm going to be there with you on the same peak, 5140, where you radioed Yeh Dil Maange More. And I went down there, 18th of July. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it on 7th of July. I wanted to do it on 7th July. We went there. On 6th, it was raining heavily, and we had to abandon the program, right? And then again, I got a call from the div headquarter, Vishal. 16th ko you have to be there because 18th ko we're doing that expedition now. And 18th ko I did that expedition 5140. Right? और वहां जाके हमने वो दुर्गे माता की जय, ये दिल मांगे मोर. That was my 50th birthday gift to him. Right? And then I thought, 2 years now, since I realized that, of course, a lot of people want to know more about him, let me, pen down. It just happened thanks to the penguin that they came forward. Thanks to you, invited me over, and this happened, yeah, And I thought, what better title than Yeh Dil Maange More? That's today when you think of Yeh Dil Maange More as the title, it belongs to Vikram Batra.
Yeah.
Right.
And I can tell you, sir, before I even knew who Captain Batra was, I knew this tagline.
Oh, amazing.
So
amazing.
that's how, and that's what I'm saying. I was too young to know what Kargil was when it was happening. But after that, whatever we know of Kargil is because of these kind of mottos, this kind of spirit. And then you get to know these heroes and you realize just the kind of sacrifice they have made to, kind of make sure that we are safe.
We are safe,
today.
Yes.
So, sir, of course, this is a wonderful tribute. And, as people, as civilians, as citizens of this nation, we try to do our bit to honor their memory, celebrate their memory also, and take inspiration from it. But unfortunately, sometimes it's constrained to very few days in a year where we actually remember them. What do you feel we should do as citizens to honor their memory more, to kind of celebrate them better and do better for them in their memory?
If I have to think of two things which come to my mind, one is that, we should have the Indian military history as a part of the course curriculum during our school days. That who are the people who led to India victory during all the wars India has fought.
Yes.
All right. We study a lot of history books where we study Mughals and everyone around. They are the real heroes for us. All right. Right from Vikram Batra, Anuj Nayyar, Manoj Pandey, Somnath Sharma ji, Arun Khetrapal, Joginder Singh ji, you name all those 21 Paramveer Chakra, Bana Singh ji, right? Abdul Hamid, I know all 21 names. These are the real heroes. The way we read about Shaheed Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, I think it's my, through your medium, through your, channel, and the handle, Mehak, I can only appeal that it should be, their stories should be a part of the course curriculum in every school. Whichever board it is, CBSE, ICSE, right? And primarily, those people who have led India to victory, those people who brought the change, right? Those people who protected the sovereignty and integrity of the country, that's number one. Number two, I think, very important is that, what I love about the army is the discipline, what they carry, right? The integrity, right? The respect, right? And I think if these habits are not taught right from your early school days, mujhe lagta the second thing what I would, really would want as an individual is that the NCC should be compulsory for everybody till certain age. Right, to bring in, you end of the day, you're a citizen of the country. It does not make a difference, though, that whether you wear an OG or you don't wear an OG. You're not wearing an OG, I'm not wearing an OG, olive green, right? But does not mean that we're the bad citizens, right? But I think the kind of discipline what Faujis have, right?
It's different.
It's different level, I think I shouldn't be saying, my apologies, I don't want to offend anyone, but it's for real that quite a large number of the civil population doesn't, I won't say that they don't know, but we don't pay heed, right?
Yes.
I think the NCC is one way which in the initial formative year of the student life, it will actually bring the discipline,
Absolutely.
Right? Which will go a long way.
Absolutely.
Which will go a long way in the life of just not the country, but the life of that individual also. Right. So I think that's the only way we can remember and, that's the right and the honor, tribute, whatever you want to call it as. is the right way. These are the two
Absolutely.
things.
I think you correctly mentioned that there's a difference between knowing and then actually understanding
it,
what
yeah,
it
right.
is.
You know it, what army does, right? पर क्या कहता है, आपको तो आर्मी है, बट अगर आप देखोगे चाहे वो फ्लड आ रहा है, राइट, चाहे कोई क्रैश हो रहा है,
बिल्कुल,
who comes to the rescue first? It's the only men in the uniform, whether it's army, navy, air force, the central armed police forces or the other police forces, it's only men in the uniform, right? So I think that's the change what I would love to see in this country.
Absolutely, and I also feel that जो हम इतनी unity की बात करते हैं, जिस way में, and again his story is kind of reflects all of that,
Look at
the fact that he went out of his way to ensure that it was his men. You're not talking about names, you're talking about religion, no caste, no creed, nothing. It's
और फौज में होता है ना सर्व धर्म स्थल, तो आपका मस्जिद भी वहीं पे है, आपका चर्च भी वहीं पे, आपका गुरुद्वारा भी वहीं है, आपका टेंपल भी वहीं है. और मैं इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ एनसीसी बिकॉज विक्रम वाज एन एनसीसी सर्टिफिकेट. I was an NCC cadet. While I did my NCC for 2 years, right? I think 1 year and 8 months short, right? I met with an accident, I had to leave it. But then we had that discipline because I think it was taught to us. Yeah. Right? Vikram was a C certificate holder. Twice the best cadet of Punjab Directorate in the air wing. Wow. So now when I look at whatever heroic deeds he did, it was culmination of just not the Fauji training. It was also the environment in which we were brought up. Then the trainings, he got through a martial art, right? Through that sports, being an avid sports person, the NCC, and of course, then I believe the training in the army, the commando only transformed it.
Absolutely.
To evolve him like such a great leader.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I think, to be honest, now, just a different sort of a perspective on what I read, I do feel that when you read this book, and now if I think of it from this perspective, you have honestly laid down all of these things as a part of your book in terms of what we can learn from the Fauj as civilians also.
Yes.
आपने sports की ज़रूर बात की है, how it has impacted you, upbringing की बात की है, IMA, NCC की बात की है, आपने सारी चीज़ें put down की हैं. So I think even if I just want to take, a basic sort of inspiration to be a good citizen and a disciplined citizen, I think this book would be apt even for that.
Thank you so much. So and that's the intention was that the youth of India should read it. Yeah. Right. We are such a lovely country, right? And we should be proud. End of the day, before anything, right, before a Fauji, we all are Indians. He was an Indian before a Fauji, right? You're an Indian, I'm Indian before I'm Vishal at your back, right? So I think my intention was also to tell the youth that, it takes nothing to dream. You have to have that dream, right? But having a dream doesn't take you just there. You have to really work for it, right? Or adversity se koi fark nahi padta, right? I've talked about, we were in a school which was a Hindi medium school. Our first teacher was our mom. Yeah. We studied in a school where we never had the concept of a copy. Let me tell you, हमारे वहाँ पे ना एक जब मम्मा टीचर थी तो we never did nursery KG, me and Vikram, right? तो वो क्या होता था कि बच्चा 5 साल का होगा आपको फर्स्ट क्लास में डाल दिया जाएगा. So that's what our grooming was, right? A mom being the first teacher. तो कॉपीज भी नहीं होती थी हमारे पास एक फट्टी होती थी. वो अभी भी होती है गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स में, I believe. So I'll not take away the kids who go there. But only what I want to leave the message with the young kids is that it doesn't make a difference from where you're groomed. If you are disciplined in your approach, right? So हमने भी उसी स्कूल से पढ़ाई करी जहाँ पे वो फट्टी में गाची लगाते थे. गाची क्या होती है आज के उसको मुल्तानी मिट्टी से जनरली मेकअप है. वो मुल्तानी मिट्टी से हम साफ करते थे और ब्लैक इंक और बेम्बू स्टिक की कलम होती थी. उस फट्टी के ऊपर हमारा होमवर्क हुआ करता था. That was mine and Vikram's first 5 years of the school life from class 1 to class 5. We never studied in a convent, right? Yeah. We didn't go to a great private schools, right? We only got into a good public school in the class 6, right? But वो कहते हैं जो formative years, and that's the reason I said that NCC, you are building the discipline, right from the formative years, which is your
when you can be groomed.
When you can be actually groomed, and that stays with you forever. True. Right, and that's what I wanted to really, portray in this book. That so it's a culmination of a lot of things. And I'm sure that the readers would and the kids would definitely love reading the book.
I have no doubt. So my last and final question, although to be honest, I just like you mentioned, so many people come up to you and ask you, how was Captain Batra? I want to keep asking that question too, but just to kind of conclude over here, if there's one, any youngster who picks up this book, what is that one thing you would want him to take away from your brother's life?
Believe in yourself. I think nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. Right? We were small town boys. We never thought we'll grow to this level, right? Vikram has become a legend. God has been kind. I've done very well in my life. So one is believe in yourself. Two, I would say, is don't forget your roots. It's very, very important. Right? क्या होता है कि sometimes, in the and I don't, people would do, somebody would do it deliberately, but in the normal course of life, because life is beautiful. And why do I tell people now is because during our times ना हमारे पास तो information भी नहीं थी इतनी यार. मैं आपको बताऊं, हमारे लिए एक करियर था सिर्फ, मैंने आपको बताया ना कि जब तक हमने ग्रेजुएशन नहीं किया हमारे दिमाग में सिर्फ एक करियर था, फौज. ना इंजीनियरिंग दिमाग में थी, ना MBBS दिमाग में था, राइट. और हो सकता है क्योंकि हमारे पास इतनी इन्फॉर्मेशन ही नहीं थी. हिंदी स्कूल में आप पढ़ रहे थे हम लोग, राइट. आज की डेट में जो इन्फॉर्मेशन बच्चों के पास अवेलेबल है, you have plethora of information, right? You just Google it and you'll have that, right? So just believe in yourself because you have all the wherewithals, right? Where you can leverage that what is available to you today.
Absolutely.
40 years back, it was not available with us. So believe in yourself and just take a plunge. You have to take risks in life. If you'll not take risks in life, you will not grow.
Excellent.
And two, I would say is that even if you, don't succeed in something, I won't use the word failure. And I learned it from somebody. I would want to narrate that story. Life doesn't end there. So don't get upset about it. See, I wanted to become a Fauji. I have a large fraternity of Fauji friends who tell me, Vishal, you are more Fauji than us. Vikram used to tell me that you are more Fauji than me, right? So at times it will happen that destiny plays a part and destiny would always play a right part for you, right? So मुझे लगता है कि take risks, अगर और कुछ नहीं सीखोगे तो experience मिल जाएगा, nothing else, right? बिल्कुल. That's the only message I will leave the people
Amazing,
with.
sure. Sir. I think this book, I hope it reaches every single person because I think this is a story worth knowing, understanding, remembering, reading, rereading. And I think the way it has moved me, I'm very sure it's going to move everybody else as well. And of course, there's so much more that I don't want to mention because I hope people read about it. And definitely, even the last incident, that was when you took his ashes to Haridwar and the incident that happened there. I don't want to say it because, again, it's something that really moves you and it makes you feel like it kind of, that gravity of losing somebody is so evident when you're reading that as well. And I think that didn't just move me. That's the first incident. And my team also told me that when you read that, you will cry. And I did cry because it is just like that.
Thank you so much.
So, sir, thank you so much for sharing so much about your brother, for writing this book, for being with us. And we're so honored to kind of help you put this book into the market to readers. It's an honor and a privilege, and we'll continue to celebrate the life of Captain Batra.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for doing this show. And I wish the readers a happy read. I'm sure if you love the reading, you can always, message me on my handle. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks,
Mike.